Thank you.
Thank you, John. Larry Perez.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, working for the Department of Public Works, we have about basically 5 major facets that we handle island-wide. To give you a perspective, it's island-wide transportation and highways, island-wide verticals and capital improvement projects, island-wide solid waste, island-wide public and private school transportation, transportation maintenance for our government-wide, and building maintenance for our government-wide. When you take a look at all those facets and you juxtapose that in terms of with the military buildup versus without the military buildup, I can clearly represent on behalf of DPW that our single biggest issue right now without the buildup and the indirect growth is that our local government, with the austerity measures and limited funding, we don't have enough money just to do what I think is the level that we need to deliver. There's obviously a lot of room for improvement in every one of those divisions. There's also this issue where you have an exodus of employees. DPW used to have 17 professional engineers. We're down to 1. There's an exodus into the NAFAC PAC, the private world, and because it's more lucrative. I mean, we don't blame them for that. So when you have the exodus of these employees, professionals at that, employees with institutional knowledge, and employees that were once carrying out the fiduciary protection and interests of the government of Guam and the people that it represents, you have already a situation currently before the buildup where we're having challenges. Now, we do have solutions, and I'll elaborate a little bit on that. Now, with the military buildup and the indirect growth thereof, we see a significant exacerbation of our situation. So therein lies a situation where we need to reflect on how do we best handle this. Do we raise the salaries of everybody and entice them to migrate back, which we may not be able to afford? Or do we think smart? Do we maximize on what resources we have and have them maybe manage? I see there's time. Do we have them, as opposed to doing the work, manage people that will do the work? Like outsourcing. Sometimes it's perceived as a bad thing, but in my experience, sometimes it's good to outsource a lot of the mundane and a lot of the day-to-day work so that your government officials can clearly stand back and see the forest for what it is, and direct and delegate work to these contractors, these local contractors and consultants, so that they can focus on how they need to manage them in a way to protect the government's interests and the people. So we're having to do a lot of that. We've done that in our transportation and highway section. Today we're going to have a pre-proposal conference for managing our vertical site. And the key there is I'm trying to get what limited resources we have within DPW to be contract managers, to manage the work that needs to be done, but rather outsource it. So when you take a look at that, now we're focusing on capacity building on 3 fronts. The first is capacity building with the designers. We've done a myriad of tenders out there to get consultants to do the actual work so we can manage these people that are actually designing. We are putting out tenders for people to manage the construction management. Whatever's been designed has to be built, so we're getting consultants to manage that. We're also taking a look at contractors, in terms of innovative financing, innovative contracting. We're trying to see what works for them and what's required by us so that we can somehow compromise and deliver on these actual work. The third is sustainable future. We're working with the University of Guam, the GCC, the Department of Labor, and even with some grants that we're getting from the federal government to build the future generations of engineers, planners, construction managers in terms of the University of Guam students, GCC students, even our high school students. So 3 levels of capacity building that we're taking a look at to handle this growth and prepare for this inevitable build-up or not. If it doesn't happen, it's a good thing anyway. I just want to let you know on behalf of DPW, those are the angles that we're taking in terms of with or without the military. And even as we have these weekly meetings with the military, we always take a look at what is our normal organic growth. As Chairman Sanchez has mentioned, we're growing no matter what. So we're taking a look at what is our organic normal growth and juxtapose that with what is the military, if the military comes in and the indirect thereof, what is the impact and what is that incremental impact, and pass the invoice over to them for that increment. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry. John.
Good morning. Good morning, Governor, Admiral Beazle, other distinguished guests. First off, I'd like to thank the University of Guam for extending the invitation to me to sit with my friends here on this panel. And I do say friends because we've worked together since I've been here, about 18 months. And so it is an effort to work together because this is one island and we all are on the same island. I would like to echo Simon's comments that change is inevitable and change and growth is inevitable. And so even though we're all products of our own past, individual and collective, I think I can speak for everybody here when we say, yes, we're living in the present, but we're really looking and planning towards the future. Whether that future includes military buildup or not, I think is solidifying more and more every day. But what we really are looking for is a future that is very different from the past. First time I came to Guam was about 18 years ago. It was a different Guam then, and 18 years from now it will be a different Guam for people who come to the island. Different and hopefully better. And by working together, I think it will be a better Guam. In the past, there had been almost two Guams, as many people say, inside the fence and outside the fence. That's not true any longer, and it certainly won't be true in the future if we do this correctly. I turn the power switch on in my house in the morning. It's not Navy power. It comes from Guam Power. I get my water just like everybody else does through Guam Water. I drive on the roads, and when I hit a chuck hole, and I call Larry, and it's like you got to go fix this chuck hole. It's like same as everybody else does. So when we talk about the military in the military in the future on the island is not going to be living inside the fence. There really won't be a fence, because everyone will be living on the same island, drinking the same water, breathing the same air, driving on the same roads. Everybody will be on one island, and that island is Guam. And that's the focus of all of our efforts, is to make that future of Guam one Guam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Frederick.
Good morning. Thank you, John. I'm the private sector rep bringing up the bottom of the batting order here, so I'll just make a few comments in relation to public-private partnerships. There's been a lot of talk of public-private partnerships over the past decade, and I think GPA has been exemplary in showing how they can actually work effectively. I first came to Guam about 10 years ago to oversee the construction of the Enron power plant, which is now MEC and one of our sponsors, run by my good friend Reno Manzano. That was due to the vision of the Guam Power Authority, and it was implemented in several different cases, 3 different power plants, I believe, all of which have been successful and continue to be successful. What we do as Power Source is essentially apply the same concepts of power generation on a captive basis using renewable and conventional fuels and cogeneration. The relevance of this here is that we're creating independent power nodes that do not compete with GPA, but can rather complement what GPA is doing and provide lower cost power sources for the utility itself and for some of the utilities' customers. And I think building on the past of public-private cooperation and success, and I've known Simon and John and these gentlemen for many years, and some of their predecessors in the utility. I think the vision that they have put forward for public-private cooperation and also for implementation of renewable energy policy here on Guam